Welcome back to the channel. We're with Amanda, my co-host, and our guest this evening is Bronya. How are you both doing?
We're good.
Yeah, I'm
Good.
good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Going to
All right.
start on quite a difficult topic this evening. It was two Jews talking, it's now three Jews talking. The story
That's us.
that has broken over the last couple of days from Al Jazeera. Let's be honest, we all know they're not the most reputable, but this story isn't going away, and it's centered around a guy called Sean Glass, a US serviceman who then went and served in the IDF. Obviously, he's Jewish. And here's the Al Jazeera documentary been making its rounds by the Venice Film Festival, as well as others, where apparently there was a 23-minute standing ovation after the showing of the film. Sean Glass has now been named as the guy that gave the order for 300 bullets to be fired into Rind Rajab's family. She's a young Palestinian girl. I'd like your thoughts on it, if possible.
300? 300
300,
rounds?
300 rounds into her and her family while she was waiting to be rescued. Remember, there was a tank apparently shelled her uncle's car, and while she was waiting to be rescued, the
Okay.
subsequent a subsequent firefight broke out that's now been disproven by all accounts.
hmm Well, so it's been disproven, but
It's
this person is named.
it's come from a reputable source of Goldsmith University in London using forensic architecture. The company's called within the university. They've used satellite imagery to just show that there was only IDF tanks in the region, IDF troops, and there was no subsequent firefight. It's Al Jazeera
So, well, so it's Al Jazeera that's showing there was no one else in the area, but
via Goldsmiths University in London.
What are the because I mean the IDF always does as well its own investigation. So what was their conclusion?
They denied it, and then when the university has approached them, they've then backed away from making any kind of comment.
I mean they're usually very good at public statements when things happen. I mean we have lots of
yeah.
where people like the blame was. I'm not because I don't have enough information, so I'm not going to like comment because I'd rather some real statistics, but
Yeah.
I'm curious to see. Like, I'm surprised that their spokesperson hasn't said anything by now because there's been other incidents, like the medics.
The
Yeah.
ambulance that was buried,
Exactly.
and they said, people are on charges on that, aren't they? This is what I mean. It's Al Jazeera.
Yeah.
I mean, I've
And
got
it's
people that I know, which is what we were leading into for this show. I've got people that I know that are on Facebook now saying, well, judging by his name, we know who he is, we know what he does. Judging by the last two S's in his surname, that about sums him up. So it kind of leads into the
well,
kind
that's
of
not very nice.
it's the kind of yeah. It doesn't make it's not good optics, is it?
No. That's I also don't really know how to I haven't seen much about it, so I don't really but yeah, it's Al Jazeera, so it's kind of interesting that something like that would happen and it wouldn't be like even just by them. This is the first we hear. It seems a little peculiar, I guess would be the word I'd use.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we could all in agreement that if this comes out to be true, we'd be three of the first Jews to condemn it. We're not beyond condemning any kind of
No,
atrocities that they commit.
that
I'm
would be
not
horrific.
uses at the moment for this story that I don't know enough about. And if he did something, then it's a war crime, and that person should be committed.
Yeah,
Committed.
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
just found it a little bit. I almost jumped in and reacted, and I had to like come away and just kind of get my head together because he's someone that I really know really well. Like I see
Mm.
this when I go out and I go up to Manchester and I go to my friends' parties, he's the guy that's there that I
Wow.
see every time that he's part of the media team there. And
Mhm.
yeah, I don't think I'll be
It's
talking to him again if I'm honest.
no, it hits different when it's somebody that not only that you know, but like that you know on a personal
I like
level.
him as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's hard.
It is
Yeah,
hard.
it's hard. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've all experienced that in different levels of like closeness and people we've lost and yeah, it's interesting. Because you come to a point, is the person worth even? How close are you to this? Is it worth
Oh no, we're
debating?
not. We're not that good. We're not that good.
No.
I just when I'm out and about and I'm misbehaving like I do once every twice a year in Manchester, I tend to have a little bit of a. Everybody does. You can't. Let's just say you can't avoid this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You can't avoid
So,
him. So
all
we all
right.
know him. So it is what it is.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
what I find like hard as well is like somehow sometimes we compartmentalize. We're like, oh, maybe I'm overreacting, and we've had such great times and there's been all these like
Yeah.
situations, but it's like I think at this point 2 years since October 7th and a few days, like there isn't any more just like letting things slide. It's
No.
like you have to take a like who is obviously anti-Semitic, and if they think they're not, and that's another
Yeah.
problem, right? Altogether,
Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah.
it's
It's
like
it's
don't you see it when you're relating anything to, as you had mentioned, this example, like how can you not think it's going to affect like your Jewish friends? And that's the problem, right? Is that they're not thinking or they post these things or they comment on these things.
yeah. Oh yeah.
The
One
post.
of my
Sorry.
one of my friends who made it an issue, before she parted ways with me, she literally said to me that she has so much stuff that she wants to post, but that she's refrained so far because she didn't want to offend me. But she didn't think that by telling me that I would be offended or read into anything like that. Like she expected me to be grateful that she didn't haul off and go all anti-Semitic because, she
Wow.
had a Jewish friend to consider. I mean, yeah, so I totally get that. Like you would think people would somewhat consider, I know, it's just the excuses people give or
Well, to
sort of
coin your phrase, let's just lean into it from this point forward.
yeah, seriously. I mean,
Yeah,
Imagine swapping that for a. I've got a black family downstairs that I get along with. A really nice family. But imagine if I went, well, I'm not going to post any pictures today of such because
exactly. It's wild to me, and that's also another, I mean, you could easily turn it around in so many ways, like even in a different side, like there's certain things that I just wouldn't weigh in on because quite frankly, how would I know? Like I wouldn't weigh in on like critical race theory and have a debate on something like that. And I wouldn't argue with somebody about slavery, especially if they are a person of color and of certain because it's not for me to argue. So, but there's something about being Jewish and about this whole situation that people think it's like carte blanche, like we're exempt. Like it's
we
somehow
ever
it's just
had
normal. Yeah, like it's normal to just express your disdain with the Jewish people and with something that's happening overseas that you don't understand with an army that has nothing to do with you and a conflict that has like it's just normal, but it's still not normal. I would still not go up to somebody even if that were the same person arguing with me. I wouldn't bring their race or their ancestor or their religion into something. But for some reason, with me at least in particular, it almost seems like that's all I've been getting. Like everyone that I've had conflict with, that I've had issue with, from acquaintances to really, really close people in my life, it seems like a theme. They can't just not be my friend anymore. They need to make my Jewishness somehow a part of it. And it's like it seems like this like mass comfortable that like people are just comfortable with this now, this mass acceptance. And I don't know why or how to change it, but it just seems specific to Jews in particular. And yeah, it's very odd. It is top of hurtful and frightening. it's peculiar.
Bronya, how have you found it since the signing of the so-called ceasefire agreement? Have you been able to relax a little bit more and try and focus on family, or are you still being dragged from pillar to post via anti-Semitic or stuff that's online that's pulling you back, or on the streets?
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. So I do think that I feel like a little bit like lighter. I mean, they're not like not every hostage is home. We can't
No.
forget that the ceasefire was actually never. It's already been crossed like how many times? So I'm like, we have this ceasefire, but it's still under Hamas's psychological torture on the rest of these poor families. It was the most beautiful day, right? To see them come home and to see
Yeah.
the families have closure and to like see the like the video of Noah Argami's like boyfriend come home, and it was, I mean, just all those stories of survival have just like, I mean, I'm so thankful for life. Like, you know, like every morning, you know, I wake up, I'm grateful. You know, I say the Moedeni, and before I go to bed, I say Shema Israel, and to see the way that those those families came together and that they never gave up hope and that they
Yeah.
fought, and the way that they never lost their faith. It
Yeah.
just made their Judaism even like stronger, you know, because so many times they're like, we'll feed you as you if you convert, if you do this. And
Yeah.
none of them did. None of them fell for that. And to me, I just see us as just even stronger now than ever. Um, but I don't think it's like it's I'm thankful for Trump in many ways because I don't think if this would have happened without him, to be
Yeah.
honest. You know, in my daily life, like the what I see online is still somewhat upsetting. Like, I mean, to see that all these people who were fighting for this, like the pro-Palestinian cause, have not once said anything, or they're still out there. You know, there was a protest last Saturday. No,
Still out there. Yeah.
Gaza
They're
up.
still out there.
So, I mean, we all know that these are still funded by people who are protesting for, I believe, is something more than, it was never about Palestine. There's different layers to those protests. Um,
Mhm.
so I still don't go like downtown very much because I know that they're still happening. You know, seeing what happened at the universities on October 7th was beyond disturbing as well. I mean, it still happened, you know, like what was the language, you know, they're martyrs,
Oh yeah. Martyrs, exactly.
you know, they closed
Gross.
down their universities. And they said, actually, which wasn't spoken about a lot by the CBC, because we have problems with our publicly funded network, that there are ultra biased and the stories are just, I
Yeah,
can't
it's crazy.
know, like, this is why the population thinks this way. You know, there was weapons that were brought in. There was like the baton, sorry, like what was it, metal rods.
Yeah, rods, yeah.
And then the Jewish people who are just there probably trying to be peaceful, or they're the ones who are saying, oh, well, maybe you should move back, you know, you're antagonizing like the protesters. And it's like it's so backwards, like it's still
Yeah, it's just
backwards. So I'm still kind of trying to get through that like emotionally. But I still think the strength of the hostages families is what got me through it, and my experience in Israel. Like,
yeah.
definitely home after, you know, spending 2 weeks in Israel and being with our people and feeling the community, feeling the mishpacha, like that just gave me that energy that I needed. It gave me the, you know, the resilience, like, you know, my experience, especially like talking to like a medic, a close friend of mine who lives on one of the kibbutzes that I was a volunteer on in the late 90s, welcomed me to the kibbutz, you know, and she told me about the October 7th day, about like her story, you know, as a medic listening to this happen on the radio, because she's in the southern Israel, so she's about 40 minutes from Eilat. and just like she heard things that like it's going to scar her for the rest of her life, you know? And she saw like what what October 7th did to me, like, and how I was reacting. And she's like, you're like, what's happening is like, we're strong here and we need the diaspora to be equally as strong. So it's kind of just like, you know, kind of put your sensitivity, not like totally aside, because I mean, that's part, I'm a human and that's part of me, but
Yeah.
we need to be strong in the diaspora. So they're fighting for us. That's exactly what she said. So we need to continue sticking together and, you know, I think educating, spreading the word. And the more we get together, like I'll give you one more little story is during October 7th week, I went to 2 different movies. So one that was the documentary October 8th, and this was organized by our allies. So this was actually an event with 90% allies in the theater and a few Jewish people. So I even brought my husband, who was an ally, of course, and there was community members. There was an MP as well from I think the Liberal Party, and the person who did the event was actually going to Israel as well the next week. So
Oh,
that was
wow.
time. And the movie itself, it's like I totally get it. I can get why these university students are so indoctrinated, you know, and it was so, and I don't think my husband had understood as much as he did after that film, you know, so it was
Yeah.
really moving. And, you know, I did see The Road Between Us as well on October 7th with my eldest daughter. And that was,
That
again,
must have been very hard. Very.
you know, like I could see why that's the People's Choice Awards for the TIFF. And that's our Toronto Film Festival, RAF. And it was unbelievable. It's like everyone should see that film. And that was the way that I was able to make it through that week, you know? So
Yeah.
I, something that I want to focus on there about the diaspora being strong. I think it's a really important point. Um, London seems to be suffering from a complex of moral cowardice where it comes to Jews, and it's becoming increasingly difficult when a pro-Palestinian protest was in the middle of London. A guy
Yeah.
was just walking down the road wearing a Star of David and was arrested. Subsequently, it turned out that he was a lawyer, so he really fucked up. So he managed to get the film of the interview released to him, and then out it went.
Hmm.
But there's been no explanation from any kind of government source or clarification as to why. And when these officers, when he said, "Well, what? Because I'm wearing a Magen David," and he went, "Sorry, I don't." The policeman said, "I don't even know what that is." So in retrospect, you're sending out officers that haven't got the bare minimum
Yeah.
training of any kind of terms they need to understand or need to be aware of. And
Did
it's
they
a
say he was being aggressive? I don't understand
no,
what
no, no,
their
wasn't being
reasoning
aggressive.
was.
They were triggered. I mean, so I've said that, you know, I sent an email to the Met Police saying, under the same pretense, then, if I see a Muslim woman wearing a full burqa or a hijab, am I allowed to be triggered about that and have her carted off to the police station and searched to see if she's got anything she's hiding? It's
Hmm.
just, we just seem to be facing a real decision of where we go next. This morning, university in London, pro-Palestinian protesters stormed into the lecture. And this guy was an imposing guy, who the lecturer was, but he's former IDF, and he must have been 15 years older than me. He had to be mid-60s. But he just
Hmm.
walked over to him, and he was big. He was probably 6'5" and a real big fella. And he didn't even flinch. But they allowed this to happen in his lecture. How do we get away from this?
where's the accountability? And that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Working on these, so I attended like a webinar, and this was on the new hate crime bill that they're working on. And there was like lawyers. This was like given by our ICJA, which is the Center of something Jewish. Sorry, I'm bad with that acronym, but it was so
Yeah.
interesting. It is, they said, even if we have like the best bill, what we need to do is enforce it. So we're lacking the enforcement, and that's what I. It's like, then what's the point of even having laws if
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
force them?
So this guy was
Nobody forces them.
arrested for that, for breach of the peace, and yet you can go and storm a lecture and not be arrested for breach of the peace.
I'm so confused. Like, every day I think I'm going to wake up and be like, all right, well, some people will start seeing the right side of history, and it's like, nope, you know, just an example about your football game in Manchester that's supposed to happen,
Yeah,
right?
in Villa Park in Birmingham.
Yeah. Oh, Birmingham, and with like Maccabi fans. Why is the excuse, "Well, we can't keep you safe"? That's
But
just, I understand, but that's also, we're getting into a slippery slope here.
Yeah.
we are. I mean, I've argued from both sides of it, and I've actually come to the conclusion they've been banned for the right reasons, but it's not been put across properly. It's definitely not anti-Semitic to ban football fans. Marseille fans were banned from going to Paris Saint-Germain.
Mm.
There was Polish fans banned from going to this same stadium in Birmingham. And I've tried to explain it. If 3,000 Maccabi fans travel, and when they get to the airport, 4 of them get in a taxi, 8 of them get in a minibus, 15 of them get on a normal bus to go to the stadium, and another taxi, and another taxi, and another taxi, and another taxi. How are you going to keep them safe? You can't
No,
do it.
no, the example
But
is
it shouldn't be like that. Like,
Oh,
exact.
it is for football fans. I wouldn't go to Liverpool's ground away as a Man United fan and walk out with a Man United shirt on and get in a taxi by myself. I might not make it to the stadium, for example. I probably would, but you just might not. And when there's 350,000 Muslims and the majority of cab drivers in Birmingham are Muslim, there can't be a repeat of what happened in Amsterdam. I'd rather read the headline of Maccabi fans banned rather than Maccabi fans killed, beaten, kidnapped, whatever, knocked
but
over.
it's just showing another problem. It's showing a problem. Why are there so many anti, we're not going to just say Muslim, but why are there so many anti-Semitic people just overpowering the city in the first place? They they wouldn't be able to get in a cab, and they wouldn't be able
it's a very
to
difficult
safely walk.
decision that's been made. It's very difficult.
Hmm.
Amanda, we seem to have lost you.
I think so.
Oh, Amanda.
Yeah. It's really, it is that. Is she
Oh,
back?
she's back. She's
Oh,
back.
Okay.
It's a very difficult
Yeah,
situation.
no.
And because such a massive football fan, I see it for what it actually is. I see it for, and it's not the police and it's not the government, it's the safety ground um, spectator agency or something like that. They've made the decision because they couldn't. I mean, there's going to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pro-Palestinians descend upon that ground,
yeah.
and any Maccabi fans arriving by themselves are going to be facing problems. And then, in retrospect, Maccabi's game on Sunday was abandoned because of their fans' behaviour.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
they've just done them, and so Maccabi themselves have turned around and said, because the decision was likely to be reversed anyway, and they were going to be allowed to travel, and so Maccabi have now said, we're not taking your tickets. They're definitely not travelling, and nobody said a thing about that. So it's not anti-Semitic. I mean, so if Maccabi make that decision themselves as well, that we're not going to sell tickets for that game, it's
That's,
just not, for me. It's not anti-Semitic. It's just not.
and
I can't see it.
you're the expert, I think, on this subject, especially, like, I mean, you know your people. I mean, the history of hooliganism, and like everyone knows that it's tied to, football, and
A right wing, a
very,
right.
very passionate people. So
Oh, I grew up in that culture. I actually think it's sorely missed, if I'm honest. A little bit of football hooliganism didn't hurt anybody.
it's good to laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Also,
No.
just focus on, like, there is joy and find that joy in the little things, you know, because we're so swamped with darkness that I think that is like what does keep me, and knowing that I'm not alone. Like I've had allies like have reached out to me in like recent time. You know, like maybe people I haven't seen in years and years, but they're like, I'm on your side. She's like, yeah, I know what you guys are going through. I can be compassionate. I have another one who's like, what is going on with this world? How can we not look at what's happening in Nigeria and in the Congo and like, you know, thousands and thousands of Christians slaughtered, but nobody's talking about it. He's like, I don't understand what's happening. Like, he's like, what is happening with this world? No Jews, no news. But I mean, like they say, it's us first, and then it's the Christians. And I was like, we like the world like needs to see how many churches burned in the last couple of years as well. It's hundreds of churches all over the world, even in Canada, and like about that, and that's just serious and that's scary, and doesn't like
have, you, have either of you even seen ahead of your Christian or Catholic churches actually step out and condemn what you've just said about the amount of churches that have been burned down?
No. They made a prayer room though in the Vatican Library.
They actually did.
Yeah,
and you both know it won't get used.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Christian church is false idol for all intents and purposes, for us and for the Muslims. We can go into a mosque and pray. It might not be accepted, but we could do it theoretically because it's monotheistic. And you can't, for us to, we can't do that. We can't go into a church. They can't go into a church either. So it's just, for me, it's symbolism, but it's the wrong message.
Mm-hmm. It's like they're included. Well, obviously, Jewish people are not included anymore. And I'm not talking about that just in general, but I feel like that's kind of the message.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, like just focusing on Islam. Yeah, we're not focusing on anti-Semitism. I mean, in the last year alone, B'nai B'rith has documented 6,119 anti-Semitic attacks. That's an average of 17 anti-Semitic, I don't know how you would say it, occurrences. I don't know how to, because I'm sure everyone is different in Canada. So that's 17 that are documented. What is not documented? I'm curious to even know. I'm scared to know because I was like 6,000. Yeah, that's incredible. And the percentage is 70%.
Yeah,
populate 70% is crazy. Like for the small country that we are, 70% of the crimes are towards Jewish people, and we're 1% of the demographic in Canada.
1%.
1%.
Yeah.
Believable.
Where do we go from here? Fast forward 6 months, where are we?
Probably not out of out of
exactly.
I laugh because I mean, human suffering is nothing to laugh about. And again, I'm a compassionate, empathetic person. What's happening there is beyond, like, we don't have words for it, you know? But like, I'm really hoping the international community will be there to actually put their words where their mouth is when they signed. When they signed, what was it? The new accord was called the peace plan. So, you know, like really there's that support to rebuild Gaza and hopefully work on the next generation and like how can we move forward? Like I know that the hope doesn't seem to be there, but I'm always going to try to be on the hope and like positive and being optimistic, and perhaps people will hopefully start forgetting about this and move on with their lives. I don't know. Kind of a weird thing to say, but
I'm going to err on the side of pessimism and say that, judging by the report, well, the quote from a Hamas senior figure out of Qatar a couple of days ago, he used the word hudna, that this is just a pause to regain strength, to have some time to breathe, we will not be disarming.
I heard the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
I find that worrying.
us in the airports, it's not over. Like,
Yeah.
They have no leverage anymore.
yeah, that is true. That is true.
So whether that looks like something entirely different where they have nothing to lose anymore.
Very true.
And that's a very sobering thought. That's all we have time for. Thank you both for your time. It's been excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.